At 400 hours local time, August 16, 2025, Russia's southern front received a devastating blow. In just 94 seconds, 6 elite infantry soldiers were eliminated, along with 2 million pounds of their ammunition. This strike was sufficient to alarm the Kremlin. This strategic nerve center bears the name Melitopol, functioning as the heart of Russia's war machine. In the south, delivering 30 to 50% of all bullets, shells and rockets to the Zaporizhzhia front and the Crimean corridor. That warehouse represented more than a building. It was the entire southern front's ammunition lifeline. This, however, wasn't a standard resupply operation. Intelligence indicated Russia was amassing this ordnance for a massive, preemptive strike designed to break Ukrainian lines. Just days before a critical two-nation peace summit, this wasn't merely a stockpile, it was a weapon aimed at Ukraine's core, valued at nearly $500 million. Losing this was equivalent to losing complete army mobility. You possess expensive hardware that suddenly cannot advance effectively. Naturally, the Russians considered this location impenetrable. They surrounded it with multiple air defense layers, like a cautious dragon protecting its treasure. They deployed the multi-million-dollar Pantsir S-1 system on watch, supported by rings of rapid firing Zu-23-2 anti-aircraft guns. Covering the area was the Borisovlevsk-2, a powerful electronic warfare system designed to jam any drone attempting to approach. They were extremely confident, so assured in their high-tech fortress that they never believed Ukraine would attempt such an operation. Yet the Russians overlooked the fundamental rule. From every major military campaign, the larger the fortress, the more catastrophic the explosion, and the tool they used to breach. This $500 million disaster was a $500 FPV drone, likely a 3D Tech rebuff hybrid. This wasn't some fortunate random strike. This was a 12-day strategic operation, and Ukraine's defense intelligence, the HUAR, executed it with precision. The operation began with comprehensive intelligence, gathering Maxar satellites, provided the high-resolution aerial surveillance, a Laliga 100 recon drone operating at 6,500 feet with 60-mile range, mapped the electronic environment. And most critically, local partisans positioned in Melitopol counted every vehicle, confirming not just the 2 million pound payload, but its strategic purpose to fuel a surprise offensive that would give Russia negotiating advantage at the summit. Once the target was confirmed, the HUAR deployed its first tactic misdirection. They began transmitting fabricated radio traffic, carefully designed to make Russians believe a massive Ukrainian offensive was targeting Kursk 100 miles to the west. Russia accepted the deception completely. They began relocating elite units, including a team of 6 naval infantrymen and the Akhmat Vostok UAV squad, into Melitopol, believing it was a secure staging area. It resembles a mouse relocating its food into what appears a safe location, not recognizing the corner contains the trap. Of course, no strategy is flawless. The initial plan to access Russia's CCTV network, to monitor the target truck, encountered obstacles when Russian cyber defenses identified the intrusion. Without hesitation, the HUAR activated Plan B, a direct Starlink connection to their partisan team, who were positioned just 2 miles from the warehouse, ready to provide precise coordinates. The rebuffed drone launched, carrying its 10-pound warhead, and deploying a 6-mile-long fiber optic cable. Then atmospheric conditions complicated the mission. A sudden 20 miles per hour crosswind developed, forcing the tech team in Kiev to recalibrate the AI guidance system immediately. It resembles executing a complex tactical operation, while severe weather conditions threaten the entire mission. This drone, however, wasn't standard commercial equipment. Back in Kiev, the operator monitored telemetry as the drone's AI flight controller operated at maximum capacity. The 4 rotors performed intricate microscopic adjustments, making thousands of micro-corrections per second to counteract wind gusts. The pilot wasn't merely observing, he was actively crabbing the drone, flying it slightly sideways against wind to maintain straight trajectory. For a tense 30 seconds, it was technical combat between Ukrainian code and natural forces. Ukraine prevailed, with the drone now stable. It was time for Phase 2, making the Russians focus elsewhere. To accomplish that, Ukraine executed tactical deception. 5 inexpensive $200 decoy drones launched 5 miles from the warehouse programmed to transmit the electronic signature of a massive swarm attack. At ground level, the radar display on the 13 million Panzer S-1 system, illuminated with multiple target indicators, its crew, likely startled, responded exactly as trained. They fired 6 57E-6 missiles at 60,000 each, launching skyward to destroy $1,000 worth of plastic and basic electronics. That's a $300 $260,000 expenditure to eliminate minimal decoy materials, while the multi-million-dollar air defense system was occupied, engaging false targets. The actual threat, the rebuff hybrid, was approaching below radar detection at just 130 feet. This demonstrates its sophisticated design capabilities. Even optimal strategies, however, can encounter complications. Russia's Borisovlev's 2 system is formidable, and it managed to target one of the decoys, flooding the 5.8 GHz frequency with intense jamming interference for standard drones. This would terminate the mission, but this is when the operator in Kiev deployed his advantage. He activated a single switch, and the rebuffed drone went completely silent, electronically severing its radio connection and activating its unjammable fiber optic cable. You can disrupt radio waves, but you cannot jam light beams traveling through glass fiber. The 20 miles per hour crosswind, however, remained problematic, destabilizing the delicate cable and forcing the pilot to manage controls to maintain visual stability at that precise moment. A new message appeared on his screen. From the partisans positioned, Russians are joking about vodka, completely unaware the Russians believed they were winning electronic warfare. But Ukraine was orchestrating the entire scenario, and they were about to deliver one devastating plot development. With Russian air defenses chasing phantoms, the strike zone was now officially accessible through the rebuff's crystal-clear fiber optic feed. The operator in Kiev observed events in real time. Target truck carrying the 6 Marines and the Akhmat Vostok UAV team stopped moving directly in front of the warehouse entrance. It arrived exactly on schedule, just as the HUAR had calculated. At ground level, the scene appeared remarkably casual. The Marines exited, stretching comfortably, completely unaware of the lethal weapon, hovering 130 feet overhead. They had logical reasons for confidence. The powerful Panzer S-1 was still occupied, attempting to destroy $200 worth of foam. 5 miles away, the Zu-23, 2 gunners scanning an empty sky couldn't detect a target, flying lower than their observation tower. They felt secure, meanwhile. In the command center in Kiev, there was intense focus. The operator's heart pounded against his chest as his camera revealed the ultimate target: 2 million pounds of high explosives stacked to maximum capacity. His thumb positioned over the controls. He initiated the final countdown sequence. 10 seconds 5, but just as the operator prepared for final approach, the mission escalated from precise strike to intense tactical confrontation. 2 miles away, a Russian FPV patrol drone launched on routine reconnaissance suddenly identified a thermal signature. It was the rebuff's engine heat, glowing distinctly in the cool morning atmosphere. Almost simultaneously, the Borisovlev's 2 system intensified its electronic warfare, and one decoy drone simply vanished from radar. But the real crisis was environmental. A powerful wind gust struck the rebuff, entangling its sensitive fiber optic cable on a corroded power pole in the control basement. The video feed destabilized violently. The pilot experienced immediate stress. He was now controlling a costly, explosive device on a compromised tether, with a Russian interceptor drone approaching, now just 1,000 feet away. This is where Ukrainian tactical innovation emerged. The pilot's initial response was instinctive. He exploited the obstruction strategically, directing the drone into a sharp maneuver around a destroyed warehouse, using the structure to temporarily disrupt the enemy's visual contact. His second action was coordinated tactical brilliance. A signal transmitted via Starlink to the partisan team positioned below. They targeted a laser designator skyward marking, a second decoy drone, which activated its engine, luring the Russian FPV into a diversionary pursuit. With the immediate threat redirected, the pilot addressed his technical emergency. He stabilized the drone against the tension of the damaged cable, restoring the clear 1080p video precisely when needed to confirm his target remained stationary and vulnerable. The truck waiting patiently for that gate to open completely, but here was their decisive technological advantage: the rebuff's onboard machine learning system. Even with the pilot managing controls manually and the cable threatening to break, the drone's autonomous targeting system had already established a solid, independent lock. The Russians on the ground weren't entirely unprepared for this scenario. Alerted by the decoy engagement, a 4-man patrol armed with rifles and portable RF detector began systematically sweeping near the warehouse, now just 500 feet from the rebuff's location. Then conditions deteriorated further. A nearby Grad rocket, fired by a reactive Russian crew, hit the final decoy, exploding exploded, generating 100 psi, shockwaves that impacted the already compromised fiber optic cable, and the screen in TF destabilized severely. The connection was approaching complete failure. The operator in TF faced a decision: abort the mission and forfeit an exceptional strategic opportunity, or accelerate and trust his preparation. He chose acceleration. He advanced the throttle completely. The drone accelerated to 37 miles per hour, following the deteriorating wall of a damaged building to avoid the patrol's visual detection. The 6-mile-long cable, still entangled on the pole, stretched tight like a tensioned wire, approaching its breaking point. Down below, the Russian patrol detected the subtle noise. Their rifles scanned the sky, searching for a target 10,000 feet up, not a stealth unit, skimming the treetops at 130 feet. A final communication flashed from the partisans. They're focused, looking upward. They don't see the real threat. The camera zoomed in the truck. The gate, the massive warehouse behind it all, dominated the screen. This was the moment. 10 seconds. The final countdown initiated. The pilot disregarded the urgent proximity alerts and the severely unstable video feed. 5 seconds, the Russian commander in the truck looked up from his tablet, a moment of uncertainty crossing his face. 4, the patrol on the ground was still targeting the clouds. 3, the front grille of the truck was now the complete view. 2, the pilot could virtually count the bolts on the bumper when the Russians thought they were the predators. But Ukraine had just provided them front row seats to the most costly pyrotechnic display of their lives. Impact. The rebuffed drones collided with the truck's engine block. Its 10-pound shaped charge was merely the initial detonator for the primary event. It penetrated the steel and ignited the fuel tank. But more critically, it projected a stream of molten metal and superheated gas directly into the 2 million pounds of ammunition stored just a few feet away. What followed next wasn't an explosion. It was an artificial volcano. A 5,000 psi wall of force erupted outward, followed by a 3,000-degree Fahrenheit thermal pulse that instantly vaporized everything. At ground zero, the truck was propelled 50 feet into the air before disintegrating into a cloud of shrapnel. The 6 Marines and the Akhmet Vostok team were completely eliminated from existence. In their place, the blast carved a 100-foot deep crater into the Ukrainian soil, and the destruction continued the next 3 minutes. Secondary explosions tore through the depot. Grad rockets ignited in their storage crates, launching in every direction and transforming the entire industrial park into a scene from a Hollywood action movie. 4 Russian ambulances raced towards the scene, their sirens wailing, only to discover there was nothing left to recover. A final brief message from the partisan team via Starlink confirmed its complete destruction. The strategic consequences weren't just immediate, they were globally significant. Russia's planned preemptive offensive, the one designed to give them the upper hand at the summit, was eliminated before it even began. They approached the negotiating table, not with strength, but with the overwhelming silence of a $500 million catastrophic failure. They had lost 6 elite operators and their advanced UAV equipment. But most significantly, they had lost 3 weeks of critical supplies for 10,000 troops. The essential supply link between Crimea and Zaporizhia was severed, creating a logistics crisis. The final calculation was remarkable. A $500 drone eliminated a $500 million asset. That's a 1 million to 1 return on investment. Russia constructed a $500 million vault, and Ukraine just picked the lock with a paperclip, then incinerated everything inside. Who needs a massive budget when you have Ukrainian tactical innovation? Now a question for all strategic analysts out there. When that fiber optic cable snagged and the enemy drone was closing in, the Ukrainian pilot had a split second to make a call. Do you continue the attack and risk everything for the optimal strike? Or do you cut the cable, abort, and preserve resources for another day? Share your tactical decision in the comments below and explain your strategic reasoning.